残響
So I haven't made a rant video in almost a year, and I thought to myself, why not make another one? But on what, you may ask? Well, back in October of 2022, I watched the Death Note anime for the first time, and more recently, I saw the live-action movie. Now, I'm aware there are multiple live-action adaptations, so the one I'll be talking about in this video will be the Netflix original that was released back in 2017. Death Note as a series is what most people would describe as if two of the smartest people in the world had a chess match against each other, and it's basically like the whole cat and mouse thing. The anime has 37 episodes, with the first half being amazing. But there's the second half, which isn't bad per se, but... Okay, I'm gonna give a major spoiler. It kinda went downhill after L's death. But that aside, Death Note is one of my top 5 favorite anime series, and if you haven't watched it nor read the manga, I suggest you do one or both of those when you get the chance. Now to the 2017 movie. This film is full of character flanderization, moments that are very inaccurate to the original source material, and Willem Dafoe as Ryuk. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh shit, Nathan's going to be angry. He's gonna turn Super Saiyan and destroy the Earth like last time. Yeah, no, we won't do that here. This will be a calm rant. So basically, this will be like Dumbledore in the Goblet of Fire book, and not the movie.
How did you put your name in a goblet of fire?
Also, there will be major spoilers for the Death Note anime, especially for the first half, since that's what was supposed to be covered in the movie. So if you didn't watch that, then I suggest you click off the video and come back after you watched it, because I'm just gonna assume you already sat through the whole series. But yeah, all that aside, let's just dive right into it. Starting off with reading the description, credit to IMDb, I can already see some flaws. First off, Light Turner. Anyone familiar with Death Note would know that the main character's name is Light Yagami, not Light Turner. Okay, whatever, they got the name wrong. So what? They at least got his character correct, right? Right? Light in this movie gets beat up and sent to detention for doing someone else's homework for them. Meanwhile, in the anime, and manga, Light Yagami is an honor student who didn't get into fights and is also popular with the girls. Light Turner, on the other hand, clearly has no riz, I guess for an attempt to make him more relatable, I don't fucking know. But anyway, Light ends up meeting Ryuk and getting the Death Note during his detention, which, okay I guess. Light didn't meet Ryuk until after he got home, and after he already got a few kills in, but whatever. But here's what happens. Light kills a bully. Yeah, that's right. He killed some cliche high school bully before he started killing criminals. In the anime and manga, Light only went after criminals like murderers and whatnot, and those who tried to take him out of commission. Also, he clearly stated that he should avoid killing people he's close to, otherwise he would be a suspect. But whatever. Afterwards, we're greeted by Light's dad, and we're informed that Light's mother was dead and that he's an only child. Meanwhile, in the original source material, he had both of his parents as well as a sister. Although I'm not really mad about this because, first off, Light's mother didn't really add anything to the plot. And secondly, Light's sister only had like one moment of plot relevance in the anime and manga. And even then, she was just a hostage in order to get Soichiro to give Mello the Death Note. And after she's saved, we don't see her again. But anyway, Light and his dad are arguing about justice and whatnot, and Light goes to his room, and then he meets Ryuk again, who describes a few things about how the Death Note works. Light then uses it to kill his mother's murderer, Anthony Skomal. The next morning, Light tells a girl named Mia about the Death Note. Oh, Mia is supposed to be Misa Amane, by the way. To be honest, I didn't really like Misa all that much in the Death Note anime, but in this movie, she is way worse. Since this is from Netflix, they just had to make her the controller in this relationship. She basically manipulated Light throughout the entire movie, and is basically the main Kira. Meanwhile, in the source material, it's actually the other way around. Oh, and another thing, Light in the anime tried everything in his power to be secretive about the Death Note. And, oh, I forgot to mention, there were multiple Death Notes in the anime, by the way. But anyway, now Light kills a criminal to prove to Mia the Death Note is legit. Then they form an alliance and start killing criminals and came up with the name Kira. Shortly after, we meet the greatest detective and Light's biggest rival in the anime and manga, L. And in this movie, he is more aggressive and emotional than his original counterpart. Speaking of the original counterpart, how do I put it? I guess you can say he's more carefree in a way, but he was also more of a brain over brawn type of guy. Yes, L was put in physical situations and did fairly well, but he never directly, let's say, chased Light like how he did in the movie. But we'll get to that later. Next scene, James Turner, Light Turner's father, contacts L for the first time and makes a plan to find out the true identity of Kira. Later on, L announces to the public that he plans to pursue Kira, which proves L's theory that Kira needs a name and a face to kill a person. Okay, that's somewhat accurate to the source material. L has Light followed by an agent. Okay. Mia tries to push Light into killing the agents. Remember when Light Yagami killed the agent that was following him, as well as the fiancé of said agent, just because they were both pursuing him? Yeah, and last time I checked, he did that under his own free will with no regrets whatsoever. But whatever. Next scene, it is implied that Ryuk used the Death Note and killed the agents behind Light's back. I gotta say, this movie does a decent job of making the victims of the Death Note feel more, puppet-like. So, props for that. Anyway, James goes on TV and basically taunts Kira, and Mia's the one who wants to kill him, and not Light. Remember when I said Light Yagami's sister was a hostage at one point in the anime? Well, back then, Light was actually considering killing his own sister in an attempt to protect his identity, and the only reason why he didn't write her name was because he thought that would make him a suspect to being Kira. In the anime and manga, Light always prioritized his main goal over everything else, and that includes family. Even when Soichiro, Light's father, was on his deathbed, Light was still trying to get him to give Mellow's true identity. But anyway, since James is still kicking, L finds out Light is Kira, and somehow James doesn't. But anyway, now L just needs to prove it. And what does he do? He screams in his face and takes off his mask to intimidate Light. So now Light has one of the things he needs to kill L. And to get the other thing he needs, he writes Watari's name in the notebook to make him give away L's name before he dies. But big problem, Watari doesn't know L's name. So Watari leaves to investigate the records. When L finds out, he gets a search warrant for the Turner's house to prove that Light is Kira, but nothing was found because Mia took the Death Note at the last minute. At least that's what was implied. Meanwhile, Watari arrives at his destination, and Light and Mia go to the homecoming dance. Watari searches the records, and it is revealed that Mia ripped the page of the notebook where his name was written. Then Watari gets gunned down, and it was revealed that it was not Ryuk, but Mia who is the mastermind the whole time, and turns out she wrote Light's name in the book in order to have the notebook passed on to her, where she will burn the page with Light's name on it. Now, L directly chases Light throughout the city with a gun in his hand for your information. When he has Light cornered, L points his gun at him only to be knocked out by a Kira worshipper. Which, to be honest, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be Mikami or someone else who views Kira as a god, but whatever. Light arrives at the Ferris wheel and Mia takes the Death Note, and it is revealed that Light wrote Mia's name in the notebook. As the Ferris wheel starts to collapse, Light lets go of Mia, which ultimately caused her to die from fall damage. Oh, and Light loses his grip as well, but unlike Mia, he landed in the water. Oh, and remember when I said Light's name was written in the notebook? Well, that page got burnt, so that means he's spared. L gets kicked out of the investigation while someone picks up the notebook. Meanwhile, Light wakes up in the hospital, greeted by his father, after that same person returned the notebook to him. Then Light reveals what he wrote in the Death Note, which made him survive. L finds a page of the Death Note and tries to make a decision of whether or not he would kill Light, and it is unknown what happens since the movie cuts to the credits after Ryuk laughs in Light's face, but it is implied that L wrote down Light's name in the notebook. But according to IMDb, this movie has a sequel planned for sometime next year. That's right, despite how terrible this movie is, they still want to make another one.
Isn't one enough?
I'm really looking forward to see how they butcher Nier and Mello. Not. But yeah, that sums up the story of the movie, so let's move on. Okay, final verdict. On the scale of terrible live-action adaptations of animated sources, this isn't necessarily the worst of the bunch. but it's still pretty bad. None of the characters look like their original counterparts, except for Ryuk. The acting is subpar, and Ryuk didn't get enough screen time. To be honest, I only bothered to sit through this movie because I saw that Ryuk was played by Willem Dafoe. Yeah, that's right, the fucking Green Goblin played Ryuk, and he was menacing. To be honest, he was probably the only good thing about this movie, and even then he was inaccurate since in the anime he didn't pressure light into killing people. Instead, he just watched from the sidelines and remained neutral throughout the whole series. Oh, and there's one thing I forgot to mention. This entire movie takes place in Seattle. For those of you who don't know, Seattle is a city in the state of Washington in the USA. Meanwhile, in the original counterpart, the story takes place in the Kanto region of Japan. This is like if you want to make an adaptation of, let's say, Berserk, and instead of having a medieval setting, like it's supposed to be, you decide to place that into a more modern era. Like, it doesn't make sense now, does it? But anyway, as for the rating, I give this movie a 1 out of 10. The only reason why this isn't a 0 is solely because of Willem Dafoe's Ryuk, but unfortunately, he didn't appear long enough to save this movie. So, what did we learn from today's video? Well, not everything needs to be live action. But unfortunately, Netflix doesn't seem to understand that since they recently made a live action adaptation of One Piece. So unlike most live action animes, I heard good reviews about this one. And this is the same streaming service that gave us the Castlevania anime, which was pretty good by the way. Not just in my opinion, this was well received and is now getting a follow-up series titled Nocturne, which comes out on September 28th of this year. But anyway, I hope you look forward to my ranking of the Dragon Ball movies as well as the other videos I've planned for the future. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. See ya, chump!
I'll take a potato chip and eat it.